Are you sick of feeling exhausted all the time, even when it seems like you're not doing that much? What you're feeling right now, the fatigue, the stress, the sense of being always overwhelmed, it's not random and it's not permanent. There is a very specific reason it's happening, and there's a very specific way to reverse it. Over the next few conversations, I'm going to walk you step by step towards that process. Not in theory and not in abstraction, but in a way that actually works in modern life for you. Today's about understanding the problem clearly, because once you see it, the solution becomes obvious. So let me ask you something that might sound a little strange. When was the last time that you felt completely exhausted, even though you hadn't really done anything physical at all during the day? Like no long day on your feet, no intense labor, just a normal day. Screens, conversations, messages, thinking. And by the end of that day, you felt wiped out, irritable, foggy, like your system was empty. If that's familiar, I want you to hear this clearly right now. There's nothing wrong with you. What you're experiencing isn't laziness, and it isn't weakness, and it isn't a lack of discipline or motivation. What you're feeling is something far more subtle and far more common than most people realize. It's what I call invisible burnout. Most of us still think of burnout as something that comes from doing too much, too many hours, too much effort, too much work. So when we feel exhausted without a clear reason, we turn the frustration inward. We tell ourselves we should be able to handle this, that other people seem fine, that we just need a better time management or more structure or better routine. But invisible burnout doesn't come from effort. It comes from overexposure, from constant cognitive load, from nonstop sensory input, from living in an environment where your nervous system never gets to fully settle. You can sit at a desk all day and still be in a state of psychological stress for 8 straight hours. Think about what a normal day actually looks like right now for yourself. You're processing information continuously: emails, messages, notifications, conversations, decisions, context switching. Even when you're not actively doing something, part of your mind is bracing for the next interruption. Your brain never finishes a thought. Your nervous system never completes a stress cycle. Your attention is always, partially somewhere else. And that constant partial engagement is incredibly draining. Here's what most people don't realize. Invisible burnout isn't about how much you do. It's about how often your system is activated without resolution. From a neurological perspective, your brain and nervous system evolved for cycles. Activation followed by recovery, focused followed by rest, effort followed by release. But modern digital life breaks those cycles. It keeps you in a low-grade state of activation all day long without ever letting you return to a baseline. That's why rest doesn't always seem to work. You can sleep 8 hours and still wake up tired. You can take a day off and still feel on edge because the exhaustion isn't muscular, it's neurological. And once you understand that, something important happens. The self-blame, it starts to fall away. This isn't you failing to cope. It's your biology responding exactly as it was designed to, in an environment it was never designed for. A lot of people say, this is just modern life. Everyone feels like this. And while it's true that this state has become normal, normal doesn't mean healthy. It just means widespread. Invisible burnout is what happens when stimulation outpaces integration. Your system keeps taking things in, but it never gets the chance to process them fully. That backlog builds quietly until one day you realize that you feel flat and disconnected and anxious for no obvious reason, or exhausted even though nothing particularly hard happened that day. This is where I want you to pause and remind you of something that I said at the very beginning of this video. This is not just an explanation. There is a protocol for reversing this whole phenomenon. But the protocol only works if it's applied to the right problem. And here's where most advice misses the mark. The typical response to burnout is to fix schedules or optimize productivity or simply do less. Those things can help at the surface, but they don't touch what's actually being depleted here. Because invisible burnout isn't happening in your calendar. It's happening in your attention. What's being drained all day long isn't your energy in the traditional sense. It's your capacity to sustain attention without fragmentation. It's your ability to stay internally coherent, to feel like one continuous person moving throughout the day instead of a series of interrupted reactions. When that coherence breaks down, everything feels harder. Thinking, deciding, connecting, even resting. This is why so many capable, intelligent people feel confused by their exhaustion. On paper, life looks manageable. Internally, it feels unsustainable. And here's the critical insight that sets up everything that comes next. If invisible burnout isn't caused by workload, then fixing your workload won't fix it. You can optimize endlessly and still feel exhausted. You can reduce tasks and still feel scattered. You can do less and still feel overwhelmed because the real drain is happening somewhere else entirely. And this is where the next conversation becomes essential. What I want you to do right now is just notice this. If invisible burnout isn't coming from how much you're doing, and it isn't solved by rest or better schedules or trying harder, then something far more important is being drained all day long. And that thing isn't your energy, it's your attention. In the next episode, I'm going to show you exactly how attention fragmentation works and why it doesn't just make you distracted and how it quietly reshapes how you think, how you feel, and how you experience yourself. This is the missing piece most people never see. And once you do, the fatigue that you've been living with finally makes sense. More importantly, it's the doorway into the exact impossible prompt protocol I've mentioned earlier, the one designed to reverse this overexposure at the root, not just manage the symptoms. If you want to understand what's actually being taken from you every time your focus is broken and how people are reclaiming clarity and calm and energy by addressing this directly, you're going to want to watch the next episode. That's where the real work begins. Do me the favor right now. Click the link that you see on the screen and let's learn about it together.